Welcome, everyone, to People on Dating. I'm your host, Will Morales. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, this is a topic based conversation about the ups and downs of dating. Whether you're 18 or 80, you have a story to tell. But the gist of this podcast is just a conversation, no judgment. Today, I have Kimmy Seltzer. She is your dating, love, and makeover expert. She's an ex therapist turned dating strategist, image consultant, podcast host, author, and nationally recognized speaker. Plus, she writes for the Huffington Post. With passion, firsthand experience, tough love, and lots of resilience, she found her purpose guiding high achievers to build explosive confidence and create a gateway to love, prosperity, and ultimately happiness. After a decade impacting thousands of lives with her signature formula, the charisma quotient. Kimmy, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. How are you?
I am good. Happy to be here with you, people on dating. What a great topic for me.
Well, listen, and for the people that are listening, her podcast, the Charisma Quotient, is amazing. One of the episodes that I've been listening to is the five red flags for dating when you're over 40. So since most of my friends are way past 40, I'll put that on the show notes so you can listen. And today's topic is a good one: is how to get over being shy and increasing your social confidence. So anyway, Kimmy, tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you get into the space? What was Kimmy's journey like, and how did you get here to today?
I'm so glad you asked me that, honestly, because I listened to people playing my bio back, to me, and I kind of chuckle to myself because I mean, as much as my career has been amazing professionally, the reason why I'm so passionate about doing what I do is because of my own story. In fact, I just did a TEDx talk where I shared my story. So
Mm,
anyone can go see that if you want to hear more. But the gist of it is the transformation that occurred with my own life is really why I'm so passionate about doing what I do. I mean, yes, I was a therapist. I lived a very traditional life. I'm from Chicago. I had, kind of that that life that when you were younger, you thought that that was your trajectory, right? So here I am. I have two kids and the picket fence and the dog and the husband. I still have the kids, by the way, but you see where the story's going. So,
yes.
yeah, we did, we do, we pick up, we move across the country, we plop ourselves down here in La La Land. So here I am in Los Angeles, and bam, that's when the record stopped. And that's when my life completely like kind of flipped upside down and the traditional life as I knew it disappeared.
Mm,
And we did what all the other people here do. We get a divorce. I'm joking. I mean, I like to blame LA, but really we would have been here anyway. And I think that's true in life. Sometimes things slap you in the face, right? When you're faced with something that you've been dealing with all along, but then you're forced to face it.
mm.
And that's what happened when we moved. And there I was all alone in my new castle, not knowing what to do with my new life. And here I am, a single mom. And the kicker is, here I am, a therapist, right? I should know better. I like and I did all the work myself, right? I
Right.
I got counseling, I had a great support system, my friends and family rallied around me. I did all the things that you are quote unquote supposed to do. And up until then, quite honestly, as a therapist, I believed like most others that you had to work from the inside out.
Mm,
However, this was this pivotal moment that changed everything because despite my efforts, I still couldn't get out of my own way. I still was in my cocoon, not knowing how to get out there, meet guys, start over. And when I looked in the mirror one day, this is when it changed everything.
mm.
There I see myself, this frumpy mom with ginormous black clothes, and I still had nursing bras on. I wasn't nursing any longer. Like, it just shows you how stuck I was, and
Right,
stuck in
right.
my clothes, stuck in my mindset. And I look at myself, I'm like, who the heck could date me? Like, who would want to date this? I
Mm,
don't want to date this. And this is where I always tell people is that it's not about the man, it's not about the woman, it's about you. And at that moment, I didn't like the way I looked. I didn't like the way I felt. So why would any man?
right.
Right. So I did something really untraditional. I'm not going to lie. I looked in my closet of all black and I looked at my frumpy self and I said, enough is enough. I'm going shopping. So
Mhm.
shopping therapy, right? And I go and what am I doing? I'm doing all the same thing again. I'm collecting black clothes in my arms. Now I think I'm up leveling myself
Right, right.
because it's new clothes, right? But no, I'm doing the same thing. And this personal shopper, she comes up to me and she says, "Ma'am, I've been watching you and I really think you should try this on." And she holds up a red dress that looks like 3 sizes too small. And I said, "That is so sweet of you, but that's really not my size and that's really red." And she said, "Honey, that is your size. That is your color. Try it on."
Wow.
Yeah, it was like she hit me over the head with that red dress. And when I came to, I call it my red dress moment. I came to, I said, "You know what? She's right. I need to see something different here. Nothing else is working. I'm all in my head about everything." So I try it on and I twirl around like Cinderella and bam, there I was, this like princess before me. And in my TEDx talk, I talk about that moment of this, like it almost felt like magic. I was like, wow, I've never seen myself like this. So I bought the red dress and I walked out into the world and all this magic started happening. New suitors began to come my way, new opportunities started knocking on my door. You hear all the stuff that went on in my bio. And it started with that red dress. But here's the kicker, and this is what we'll talk about today when it comes to social confidence, is that I realized that there was a symbiotic relationship between the outer inner. It's not just an inside job, that how you feel on the outside and what's reflected and how you market yourself has a direct correlation to how you feel inside. And I realized that the black clothes was really a cloak to keep me invisible from you aliens. Like, William, I really thought that you guys were aliens. Like, I was like, the last time I flirted with a guy was at a toga party in college because I got married really young. I'm like, I'm supposed to go flirt as a single mom. So, like, this was all new to me. So, here's what I want to start out with,
Right.
is that I considered myself a pretty socially confident person. And
Mhm.
whether you're not a socially confident person, even, like when you were younger or before, like maybe stuff happened to you, really what I come to learn that confidence is simply experience. I wasn't experienced as a dater and being socially confident going out and flirting. And so how did I get it? I had to do it. I had to practice, and that's really what it's all about. So I flipped the paradigm from that moment on and I really now work from the outside in because it is the quickest gateway into raising any kind of confidence.
Wow, you hit it on the head. I like it when you said being confident with ourselves. And I went through a period, maybe in my 40s, where I lost confidence in myself. There was a couple of bad relationships I had and all that. And then when
Yeah.
I started getting into real estate, which was in my mid 40s, I'm 60 now. So when I was in my mid 40s, and I started going to networking events. And Kimmy, you could probably back me up on this. You're forced to talk to people because if you're looking to
Yes.
increase your business, have a team, whether it's a CPA or a lawyer or a title company, whatever it is, you have to pretty much talk. And I noticed how that felt, and I started feeling more and more confidence. And then when I started going to singles events, I started approaching women. And I'm telling you, Kimmy, if you knew me from between 35 to maybe 45, 50, give or take a few years, I was totally opposite. I was a wallflower. Sure, once I knew people and I felt comfortable, then I could be myself. But if I didn't know you, man, I was really shy. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know people say, "Oh, just say hi." I couldn't say hi. I didn't know what to say after hi. So I don't know if like in some of your classes that you teach, is
Mhm.
that one of the things that you might teach us is just say hi, but then what comes after that, especially if we feeling shy and we don't have that confidence yet.
Yeah, such a good question. Actually, I just had a workshop last night called Stop Hating Dating. And
I
right, because everyone hates dating.
I did see that. Yes, I did see that.
Yeah,
Yeah, there was, yeah.
I'm sure I'll do it again. And I often do flirt workshops and whatnot. And I have a lot of programs out there. And here's what I said to them last night, and it'll address kind of what you're talking about, is that
Mm,
I think sometimes what gets overwhelming is thinking about this lofty goal that you might have when it comes to like being socially confident or being a good dater. It's like, oh yeah, I should go date, or oh yeah, I should just go approach that woman or man or whatever it is.
Mhm.
But that's really like anxiety provoking, like thinking of this huge like goal that maybe, is hard to think about, especially like to your point, you never felt that way before. So what I like to focus on is more about skills. It's hard to finish a marathon if you haven't, really exercised a muscle so that you are strong enough to get to the finish line. And too many people race to the finish line and then they crash and burn, or they get hurt, or they, fear rejection or whatever it is. So I say to people, first off, instead of focusing on the lofty goal, focus on the skill that needs to be leveraged so that you build your confidence. So, like what you did was great. Like let's say you have a hard time just saying hi to people. Every day, practice saying hi. Like at the grocery store, at the valet, at any opportunity. Forget about the outcome. And that's the other thing, is that most people are thinking about the outcome, so they get in their head. And this is why a lot of people mislabel themselves shy or introverted, because really what they are more just analytical and they're thinking about the outcome. But if you look at the definition of flirting, it's fascinating. I love teaching this.
Yeah, no, please talk about it.
Yeah, because
I'm
this
excited about it.
yeah, no, I mean, because I want everyone to feel like excited about this, and this is what we were talking about last night. If you look in the definition of flirting in the dictionary, it's to behave as though you are attracted to someone without the serious intention of an outcome. Yet so many people don't flirt, don't put themselves out there because they're worried about what's next.
Mm.
Right? I don't want to be rejected. I don't want to think that that girl, that I'm a creep or something. Like guys have their own set of things, but so do women. Or why would I flirt with that guy if I'm not attracted to them? I don't want to give him the wrong impression. Like the list goes on and on and on. And so that's what stops people from like really being present, is because they're getting ahead of things. And so that's one of the first things I like to teach, is helping people get more in the moment, more in their body and less in their head, and forget about the lofty goal. Just like work on like making eye contact, smiling, saying hi. Like that's the first step, right? And
Right.
the more you get comfortable with that, then you move on to something else.
I like when you said start saying hi to everyone, and it's funny because I do that now.
Mhm.
I'll go to Dwayne Reed or any supermarket where I go, and I just say, "Hey, how's it going?" And that's it. And I might not even continue the conversation, or if I do, I do it also on the phone. Hey, how's it going? How was your day? And all that. And that started working for me when I started doing that. Like I said, years and years ago, because I will approach anybody, whether it's female or male, especially at these networking events, and just start a conversation. And the thing
Yeah.
is, I wanted to ask you something, Kimmy. Would it be to our advantage, for lack of a better word, if we go to networking events that are, or any type of social event that we are like-minded people? So, in other words, if
Yeah.
women are, they don't want to be flirty, whatever, but if they go to events that might be, cooking classes or starting your own business classes, and there's men there, would that be a perfect scenario for us to, I guess, commingle, if that's a term I could use?
Oh my God, you're spot on. In fact, one of the things I like to do with clients in my group programs is develop a dating plan. It's much like a business plan, right? Like
Hmm.
it's hard, especially if you're over the age of 40, like gone are the days where you have the infrastructure of your social life in college, or, so you have to be intentional in the way that you, kind of force yourself out there. And as you get older, there are less and less opportunities to meet other like-minded singles, so you
Hmm.
might have like a lot of married friends, you might have coupled off friends. They're in a different stage than you. And when you're older, everyone's in like even more different stages, right? So we have the complexity of that. So going to places like what you're suggesting is exactly what I recommend, because I have this three-prong approach that really gets people kind of traction, and they start putting things on the calendar, because that's the accountability piece. Like you might be listening to this and say, "Oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I should do that." But really, like probably 8 times out of 10, they'll try it and then they won't do it anymore. So the name of the game is consistency too. Like they'll try to go to a place and then they won't come back. So, if you have a friend or somebody who can kind of hold you accountable, put things on the calendar, that is key. A lot of experts would probably not like me actually saying this, but I don't even like singles events, to be honest. Like, I think it adds, seriously, like, I think it adds a weird energy that it's like
Okay.
everyone's in hunting mode and the ratio of men to women is always off and no one's really themselves because everyone's there for the purposes of like finding a date, and so it puts
Mm,
this like weird pressure. I much rather people practice in the wild around things they're interested in because that's a good topic to start with, right? Everyone's
right.
there for a collective purpose, and that is a great way to start. Can I share a story around that?
Yes,
Because it's
please,
it's
please.
yeah, I'm because I teach I love stories because maybe you could relate to this as you're listening to this. There was a woman who was, oh my god, she had such social anxiety, and the thing that was fascinating to me is she was so pretty, well accomplished. She had so much to offer, but again, it goes back to what I was talking about in the beginning. She didn't see it. And it wasn't until she saw it then she would have the courage to like allow other people to see it.
Right.
And she always said to, growing up that she was more of an introvert. She always kind of had social anxiety. I said, I don't know. I'm having a hard time with that label. I just don't think you really learn the skills to be comfortable in a social setting. So, like, let's just get you some experience. And so, what did I do? I kind of threw her to the wolves because I do these wing girl sessions where I go out in the field and I help people
Mm.
flirt and mingle, and shop and that kind of thing. So I, I, I put her in a conference that was like around professionals like her and made her sign up for it so that we could go there together when she came here to Los Angeles. And after we had our little session together, I'm like, "All right, let's go." She's like, "Oh my god, no, 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 no. This is too scary." And we get to the door and she's frozen. She's like looking at me, she's paralyzed, and I just pretty much held her hand. I have the social engagement formula that I teach people and we had role played it before walking in. And so what she realizes, yeah, like everything was so much in her head. And the minute I like kind of helped her realize, and this is what I want everyone to get, it's not about the lines. It's not about what you know. It's about how someone feels when they're with you. So you could say the dumbest thing, but if
Yeah,
if you deliver it with a little cock of the head and a smile, people will like you,
right.
like, and so everyone's like trying to think of things that are too clever. Anyway, she broke into the party and had a blast. And in fact, she stayed throughout the whole weekend because it ended up being this like business retreat thing. And she couldn't believe she's like, Kimmy, I've never ever been so comfortable. I met great friends. She even got asked out that weekend. And it all just had to do with her kind of breaking that barrier that she had and also just that like kind of story she had in her head.
Wow. Shoot, man, I can't believe the way you said that. Just being in our head is always troubling. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
true because again, just being in social settings and all that. And I remember, when I was with my friends, it was okay. But if I went by myself to certain events, man, I wouldn't say much, and I'd just be in the corner.
Yeah.
And I remember that. And this is when I was in my 20s and all that. I mean, I would have the guts to go, but when I got there, I had no idea what the hell I was gonna say. And then, like when you were talking about singles events that you're not a fan of, and I remember when I would go to some of these events, I would see a lot of men. Well, not a lot, a few men just sitting in the corner, and I'm like, why did you come here if you're not going to talk to anyone? And
Oh
I
my
seen that,
god.
and Kimmy, I seen that time and time again. And
Yeah.
I would talk, and yes, I get what you're saying. You're there for the hunt. Maybe it's not the right setting. I never thought about it that way. So, like when I go to real estate events or any type of a business event, I feel it's more comfortable because everybody could talk and everybody's going to say, "Oh, what do you do? What do you do?" And then you can get into the conversation. Would you consider maybe like speed dating, or is that because I've done it and I'm going to be honest with you, I always have fun. And I met a lot of
Nice.
great women there. And it's a 5 minute thing, which I hate. I wish it was a little longer, but we exchange emails with the organizer. But what do you feel about like things like that with speed dating? Is that something that you would suggest, or how do you feel about that sort of social event?
Oh my god, you know what? I love it all. I mean, I was knocking singles events, but really at the end
No,
of
but I
the
get what you're saying, though. You're right,
yeah,
though. You're right. It is like a meat market. You're just
I
trying to get. Yeah, I get it. You're right about
right.
that.
No, but the thing that I always say is that your dating portfolio should be like your financial portfolio. You need to diversify as much as possible in order to get results. It's never a good idea to just go to one thing and expect like this huge outcome. This is my belief. This is why dating burnout happens because people are going online and say, "Okay, now I am going to date." And they're swiping their life away thinking that that's where they're going to find the one, and they put all
Mm,
this expectations around it, and then they're not doing anything else to balance that, so they're not going out, they're not exercising the social muscle, and then they get burnt out and saying there's no good men or women out there. So this is
mm,
the cycle, the loop people get in. So yes, like I say do it all. Like go to speed dating events, go to business networking events, go online, get a matchmaker, get a coach, go to my retreat that's coming up. Like everything and anything are chances to not only meet other people, but also it goes back to what I'm saying, to practice. I just put my client on a dating regiment where I really like I had to kind of do some resetting, I will say that, because
okay.
here's the thing, I call myself more of a dating strategist these days more than a therapist and coach because I just believe we all get into bad habits, and she had the bad habit of just going after the shiny object, and then guess what would happen? She would attract all these sexually driven bad boys, and she's like, "Oh, all the guys are bad." Well, I said, "I believe you because that's all who you are seeing and who you are attracting. So we got to do something different about you to get a different result. That's all you can do. And that's the empowerment." And so, right, like we started, working together, and she keeps getting attached to the outcome. And so she gets in her head about it. She's like, "Oh, I don't know if I that guy's cute enough," or I don't know. I said,
Mm,
"Okay, what is your mission right now? What did I tell you to do?" "Oh, I'm just supposed to practice." Bingo. Awesome. I just want you going online. I want you practice flirting, and we're starting from basics. We're going back to kindergarten. And she's like, "Okay, okay, okay." And so then she changed her profile. So she started changing like who she was attracting. And she just texted me literally an hour ago, and she has this date already. And now she's getting all
nice.
scared. She's like, I don't know, like if I look good enough and blah, blah, blah." I said, "What is your goal right now?" She goes, "Okay, I'm just practicing." Yes. And see, the more that you can just think of it as practice and not get
Mm.
attached or ahead of it, it becomes more pleasant too. It's more fun and you'll be more connected during that interaction.
Yeah, see, that's you, again, you hit it right on the head. Just the interaction, and I think she kept on getting into her head by thinking it's more than just practice.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and so for you, Kimmy, when you start, working with whether it's men and women at the same time or different times, are there steps that you might follow or
Mhm.
have them follow? In terms of getting to becoming more social confidence, can you give us maybe a couple of steps that we could start maybe practicing, or once it gets on the air, people could listen and say, hey, you know what, maybe I could try this at the beginning.
I love that you asked. Will, your formula here on this podcast is awesome. I just want to commend you, by the way, because
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
you're doing all the things that like I love. I love telling my story and I love giving action steps because honestly, you could be listening to this, you listening and just be like, "Okay, well, this is a good, like, concept and story, but, like, what can I do? What
Right.
to really start getting some different feelings at least?" And, I guess I would start with the charisma quotient is a great way to start because there's 3 ingredients,
Mhm.
and this is where I work, and we could, like, just give a suggestion in each of these areas to help you just feel more confident. The first is your style intelligence, okay? This is where I always start, and this is, like, my TEDx talk is how marketing yourself attracts love, and I truly believe, like, for all of you who've been doing a lot of inside job work and going to therapy, I think it's awesome. I'm a therapist, so I'm a big fan of it. But at what point does it become analysis paralysis, right? And so I like to say, well, how's your marketing? What are your pictures? How are you dressing? You know, what's your presentation, your first impression? And I see this all the time with like shy people, just even wearing color and get used to being seen, for instance. You know, if you're a woman, practice wearing a red dress if you're always in drabby colors and kind of in the background. Color will make you stand out and it'll also get you used to being seen and getting used to that attention. And that will increase your confidence to then respond. So it's something, and this is research based, y'all. Like, this is
Nice.
not something like from, oh, a girl from LA saying, oh, image matters. Like, no, this really impacts your performance when you wear something different. There's even shifts that go on in the brain. So I'm a big fan and really dialing in how you show up. Um, I like to teach people how to dress for their body type, both men and women. And so you feel
Okay.
more confident in your clothes. And that also impacts the body signals, right? Because you're going to
Mm.
stand a little taller walking in and you'll appear more confident. Do you know that only takes 7 seconds to make a first impression? That's all you got.
Really? Wow.
And
No, I didn't know that.
yes. So
Wow.
like before we go into all these other techniques, we got to go from the minute you walk in a room and say hello to someone. People are making judgments and assumptions based on two things, and this is research based in the brain. What you're wearing and the attitude you have.
Mm.
That's it. Bingo, end of story. It's not even what you say. So all of you in your head thinking about, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, what do I say?" Worry about what you look like first,
Right.
because that will break some barriers, and it actually really helps a lot of people. The second area is your emotional intelligence, right? Like, is how you express yourself, your vulnerability, your authenticity. And a lot of people get confused about vulnerability being TMI, right? Too much information. Oh,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't talk about my look. It's not like meeting someone say, "Hey, well, tell me about your childhood and the relationship with your mother." Like, of course, I would never recommend that.
Right.
But can you share a little bit of stories and also use emotions and feelings to express yourself rather than talk about facts? So, my
Mm.
social engagement formula moves people from fact driven conversations into something that's more emotionally based and personal in nature. So, people really feel you. Like, that's why, like, when you asked me about my story in the beginning, because, like, how different would this podcast be if I'm just like, oh, I'm Kimmy Seltzer and I am a therapist? Like, who cares?
Right, right, right.
It's my
Yeah.
freaking story and how I felt, and I hit rock bottom, and like I'm human, like I'm just like all of you. And that's more relatable and you'll be more likable. And the
Mm.
third is your social intelligence, and that is where the social confidence comes in. And that category has to do with flirting. So, like one thing that all of you can do, just walk around, make eye contact, and smile with the world. Just practice every single day. Don't have any attachment to the outcome. Do it with, the same gender, do it with the opposite sex, do it with dogs, babies, like just do it all. Flirt with life. That's where I always tell people to start, because you're going to create a magnetic energy that's going to draw people to you. And again, that's going to help with your confidence.
Wow, I love it. So we got style intelligence, or we could call it marketing ourselves with style, wearing something other than navy blue and black. you
Right.
know,
Right.
we
Well,
got the yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was gonna say for guys, I forgot to mention guys. Well, guys are attracted to red for women, right?
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
yeah,
When I see certain women in red dress, I'm like, my jaw drops. I'm like, holy shit, she is hot.
right?
Yes, I agree 100%. When I see certain women with a red dress and the way they fit in it, I'm like, holy God, what a dress. And I might be even so um taken with the dress that I might not even look at and see her face. And because it's just the way she presents herself, the confidence. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. But for
Eh,
guys, what
yes.
should we wear? I mean, I like dark colors, but I do have like a pink dress shirt. I have a blue pinstripe shirt, so I do have some light colors, but
Nice. Yeah.
not much. And I have a red shirt too. I do have a red shirt.
Oh no, I don't. I always say like guys should have their red dress moment. I mean, obviously not a dress, well,
Right.
although some guys might want to wear. That's fine. But the thing is, what first of all, it's not your fault that you're attracted to red. By the way, research has
Ah.
shown that that is the case because what they found and in the reptilian part of your brains is that it has to do with fertility without getting
Mhm.
like too graphic, right? So
No,
it
that's okay.
makes
You could do it.
sense, right? It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So now for guys, what we found is that blue really bodes well for most men. And it depends on the shade, but most men look really good in blue. It could be navy, it could be a light blue, depending on your skin tone. So that also looks good on in your pictures and for your dating style. So
Okay. So we got style intelligence. Oh, and that's what we're calling it, style intelligence,
style
or
intelligence,
I
yes.
like that. We got emotional intelligence, right? How do we come off? You tell a story. Because sometimes, Kimmy, I could be a little animated. I move my arms around all the time,
Yeah, it's
but I
good.
can't help it. That's how I am. And then
Yeah.
we got are we calling it social intelligence also by
Yes.
becoming flirty, say hi, and like I said, I've done that where if I go to a counter, I'm saying, hey, how's it going? How are you? Whatever. Some say fine. Some doesn't say anything. So I'm like, okay, that's on you. That's not on me. So I love that. So we got style, emotional, and social intelligence. That's a great way, at least for us to start. And I think is if we make ourselves over in terms of the clothes, like you did, where you were wearing everything dark, and add
Mhm.
colors, add patterns, or whatever it is. At least for the guys, I'm speaking for the guys. So thank you for that. First of all, Kimmy, I want to thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really appreciate it. I know you've been busy. And before I let you go, just a couple more things. You have something called a dating diagnosis quiz. Can you talk more about that?
I know it sounds so clinical, right? Well,
I like it though. It
look, I'm a
fits.
therapist by training, so it's like this is a fun diagnosis, y'all. So yeah, if you go to my website, kimmyseltzer.com, Kimmy seltzer like the water.com. First of all, you can see kind of all my services and things that I offer, but right on there, you can take a dating diagnosis quiz to see what kind of dater you are and what challenges you might be having that will really kind of help you determine the kinds of things you need and where you want to go. And so that's a super fun thing. And you can just play on there. I have a free style guide in the style section where you could see what your body type is and what clothes flatter you, both for men and women.
Mhm.
And then, of course, yeah, like I have a podcast, as you mentioned, the Charisma Quotient, and that can be found on my website or anywhere you listen to podcasts. And all my social handles are at Kimmy Seltzer. So pretty much if you put Kimmy Seltzer, you'll find me.
And you have a retreat coming up in November. Was it
Yes.
November? So talk more about that.
Oh my God, I'm so excited about it. It's called Dating Reimagined Experience. It's a hybrid program that actually combines a 6-week class that culminates into a 3-day live retreat in Scottsdale, Arizona. And
Good place, yeah.
it's beautiful. And the thing that I love about this is I did an iteration of this in the summer and it just went over so well that I wanted to do it again, but this time I'm doing co-ed. So it's for men and women.
Okay.
Kind of taking a small group where we're really going to dial in how to date in this crazy age, especially if you're over the age of 40. And we are going to learn everything from flirting to body language to first impressions to navigating online and conquering dating fears. I mean, I really get kind of specific. And, with my programs, it's not just about the coaching, it's not just about the community, but it's also about the experience, which is why I love the 3-day retreat. So if you are interested, I'll put the link in the show notes for you. Well, if people can find it,
Yeah,
it'll
yeah.
be on
Send it
my
to me. Yeah,
website.
definitely.
Yeah, just get a hold of me. We'll have a conversation about it. We start November 8th, and then the retreat is December 9th through the 11th.
Nice. Anything else you want to promote or um
Oh my
just the
gosh,
retreat?
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, like well, that's kind of the new thing that's coming up. But what I'll say is if you can't go to that, I encourage you to just book a call with me if you're, wanting to just have a strategy session and we can kind of go over what's working, what's not, and where you want to go. And we can brainstorm some ideas together. And if I can help you further, I have other programs and we can talk about that too.
All right, sounds good. And tell us again where to find you. Tell us that website again.
Yeah, it's KimmySeltzer.com, Kimmy, seltzer like the water.com. And that's probably the easiest way you can find me. And also on social, everything, even TikTok, I'm getting on that bandwagon at Kimmy Seltzer because we have to, right?
Yeah.
At Kimmy Seltzer is kind of my handle everywhere. And of course, the Charisma Quotient is my podcast.
All right. So, yeah. Well, definitely. Guys, I listen to podcasts. Her podcast is amazing. I've been listening, I think already twice to the five red flags when dating over 40. I know I probably butchered the title, but yeah, I'm
No,
going to
you
put
got
that on
it.
the show notes. I'm going to put that on the show notes. Well, anyway, Kimmy, first of all, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you. I so appreciate you having me. It was an honor.
Thank you so much. Bye bye. Well, everyone, that was Kimmy Seltzer, and you can find her at kimmyseltzer.com. That's kimmyseltzer.com. Kimmy, thank you so much for being on People on Dating. Much appreciated. You can find me at peopleondating.com. That's peopleondating.com. Check out our past shows and check out our blog. Also, when you get a chance, please go to Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe, leave a review. Tell us how we can make this show better. You can also find me on Google Podcasts and on Spotify. Anyway, on behalf of People on Dating, I'm Will Morales. Until next time, thanks everybody. Have a great day and please stay safe. Bye.